Oh, that was one of the craziest games we've ever seen for the Toronto Raptors. Nearly come out with a victory. I was really hoping the Raptors would, but close loss, close loss. I'm sorry if you can hear my birds in the back. My budgies just love to chirp sometimes. But close call, close call. Very close game for the Raptors, considering where they were at one point. The Toronto Raptors, and shout out to Rap City, man. They always keep the Raptors fans up to date with a lot of stuff. They posted the score like with 2 minutes to go. The Raptors had like 70 points. It was absolutely crazy. The Raptors had I'm gonna pull up Rap City right here, but so with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Raptors had 72 points and the Milwaukee Bucks had 90 points. And of course, we know how that game ended, but really close game, man. I wish the Raptors had won that, but it is what it is. Also, guys, shout out to Pensari. I know we don't always agree, but I'm gonna copy his method here. I actually linked below if you guys want to call in. I am using StreamYard as well. So again, shout out to you, Robert. This is a really cool idea. StreamYard, if you guys want to call in, the link is in the description below. I'm just going to put it right over here for those who may want to click and join. I don't know if you guys want to. You don't have to show your face. You can just talk if you want. But really close game. I really felt like if the Raptors had won this game, this would have been the turning point for the Toronto Raptors. A very close loss, but it is what it is. I know people are going to flame Fred VanVleet. They're going to blame different players, maybe Pascal Siakam, but man, that was a close game. I really enjoyed that game. I was watching it all the way through, and I was like, man, the Raptors have to make a comeback here. Um, Says Hyena Eater. It's just me here. Yeah, there's so far it's just four people. I just started. I'm a minute into the stream. I know. Shout out to Raptors Digest as well. Their live streams always been sorry basketball, so it's all cool. But close game regardless. But really disappointing, obviously, for the Toronto Raptors, who, as it currently stands, I don't have the standings with me. But if we were to look at the standings, I believe they were very close with the Orlando Magic. Man, oh man, I don't know where the season is going. I don't know if we're going to tank. We have 16 wins and 23 losses, I believe, at the moment. So, not a really good for the Raptors, especially considering the way that expectations were placed on the Toronto Raptors this season. But regardless of that, I think again this was supposed to be the turning point because the Raptors had a six-game homestand. It is what it is. Look, the Raptors lose. What else is new with this season? It's been a bad season. But, man, something's gonna give. Something's gonna give because some changes need to be made immediately. The Raptors started this game 0 of 15. That was crazy. 0 of 15. In fact, someone had jokingly stated this online. They said Team Canada, who was playing US, by the way, Team Canada's junior hockey league, hockey team, excuse me. They had 15 shots on goal and they had 3 goals. The Raptors could not hit one single field goal, which was honestly really embarrassing. But pretty fun game. Lots of positives. Ugly and weird, Tom, I completely agree. Really strange game tonight because it seemed like the Raptors were going at one point, it looked like the final score of this game was going to be like 70-75, but obviously the Milwaukee Bucks really turned it up. A little bit disappointing with the Raptors. Again, guys, I usually don't live stream. I had to live stream for this game, man. One of the craziest games I've ever seen. Like the way the Raptors started, the Milwaukee Bucks should have absolutely blown out the Raptors after the first quarter. But thankfully, the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, missed about 14 shots at one point. Thankfully, they did because it made it a close game. It could have easily been a very embarrassing first quarter for the Toronto Raptors. It already was. But you know it's bad when the when the audience, when the crowd is giving you a standing ovation for getting your first point. Pascal Siakam got the first point for the Toronto Raptors today. And what happened was he got fouled. He went to the free throw line. He hit his he got the first point, and this was at the 5 minute mark. And the everyone in the crowd, everyone in the stadium was honestly standing up and clapping. Honestly, really cool to see because obviously we know the Raptors fans haven't been the loudest lately. The ticket prices have skyrocketed, and it seems like a lot of fans that are really hardcore Raptors fans can obviously afford to go to every single game. But it is what it is, man. Look, there's no such thing as good losses. There's no such thing as positive losses, but this was really a tough matchup for the Raptors coming in. Obviously, Giannis is obviously a handful. They did a good job, I thought, in the first couple quarters. They really Chris Boucher. I loved his energy tonight coming off the bench. I thought he did a really good job. Chris Boucher, taking a look at his statistics, sir. I don't know if he produced a lot of points. Yeah, he was 2 of 8 from the field, which is look, it is what it is. He was 0 of 3 from the 3 point line, minus 11. He had 5 points, but what I really liked was his energy. He had 2 blocks, 1 steal as well. Again, I'm not expecting crazy statistics from Chris Boucher. There's 6 rebounds. I loved his energy tonight. It was amazing. It was great to see Chris Boucher play the way he did. But look, unfortunate loss. It is what it is. It happens, and I do want to hear from you guys though. There's not very many few people in here, guys. I've linked it below again. Shout out to Pensari. We don't agree on things, but I'm gonna use your StreamYard linking service or whatever you want to call this. If you guys want to call in, that'd be cool as well. You guys don't have to. You guys don't have to be on camera. You can just talk. But I want to hear your thoughts. This was I don't know what the Fred haters are gonna say. They're gonna say he missed the game winner. Look, it's I think the Raptors should have ultimately gave the last shot of the game in overtime to Gary Trent Jr. I haven't gotten a chance to see the final play. I don't know if Gary Trent Jr. was covered really well there. It is unfortunate. I would have loved to see Gary Trent Jr. But man, that boy is clutch. Gary Trent Jr. His friend was tweeting out that as well. But that was a really funny play though. Grease and Allen. It was just funny because he's trying to I don't know what he's trying to do there. That he didn't look like he was trying to go for the ball. He's straight up grabbing Gary Trent Jr.'s balls, and that was a weird play. But the Raptors definitely needed. If there's anything such as a moral victory, man, I was jumping up, Tom. I was jumping up when Gary hit that game tying shot. I was laughing and I was amazed. I was going insane at that time because Grayson Allen, I don't know what he was doing. He was literally not even trying to block the shot. He just goes for Gary's nuts. And of course, he ended up being a technical foul as well. But uh, look, moral victories, small victories. I think Nick Nurse is probably saying this in the locker room as well after the game. Not the way you would have liked the game to finish. Obviously, it would have been nice if the Raptors had won. They scored like what's how many points did they score in the in overtime? It didn't look like they scored a lot of points. Maybe 2 points, I think. I'm gonna quickly check here, but the Raptors could have done a better job. I think they got a little bit too excited with the way they came back, and it seemed like just in overtime, no offense was generating. Yeah, 4 points in overtime. Pascal Siakam was struggling today. He really tried to get his game going. It was not going, man. It was a tough game for the Raptors because Pascal Siakam is that one player you really rely on, and he had a tough game today. Taking a look at Pascal's statistics, yeah, Pascal, 4 of 18, 22% from the field. Again, I'm not going to blame him because he's been carrying the Toronto Raptors for the entire season. 11 points, 5 fouls, 8 rebounds. Actually, a really good thing that Nick Nurse challenged that early foul because that would have been a foul on Pascal Siakam. So he probably would have fouled out. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a block. Again, 3 turnovers, plus one, and the box plus minus. But if he had hit only a couple of his shots, Pascal Siakam, that would have made a huge difference for the Toronto Raptors. Again, guys, I apologize. I don't know if you can hear my birds in the back, but they're just chirping. I think they're mad that the Raptors lost as well. But it sucks. Look, it sucks because these are the wins that are gonna either. I don't know if the Raptors are tanking, but these are the kind of games that are gonna come and haunt you at the end of the season again. If they're tanking, then it's great. Magic won tonight. Good news, says Kenneth. If we're tanking, then it's good news. So again, it depends. Like if the Raptors are trying to make the playoffs, which just seems like they're trying to be competitive, then it's going to bite them in the ass. Because this was one of those games that, first of all, you just started off so poorly, and you really needed the Raptors to come in and have a big performance. And what do? They go 0 of 15 in the first quarter alone. I'm going to quickly take a look at the NBA matches across the league today. I know there's quite a few. Looks like yeah, Magic won against Oklahoma City Thunder. New York Knicks won against the Spurs, which is not good. Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Portland Trailblazers. That doesn't matter. Pelicans beat the Houston Rockets. Chicago Bulls beat the Brooklyn Nets. That's surprising. And Detroit Pistons are facing the Warriors. They're up 5 points at halftime. So we'll see, man. It's a tough loss regardless for the Raptors, man. I personally am against tanking because look, the Raptors already have way too many guys that that want the ball, shoot first. So again, I'll leave that up to Masai Ujiri. Nurse has no minutes for Cam Birch. I would have Tom. I agree. I really would have liked to see Cam Birch. I don't know what the heck is going on with him because Nick Nurse is also really confusing with his rotations as well. He keeps saying he should play certain guys, but then you never see him. One player I really would have liked to see today, Christian Koloko. You literally needed that. Yeah, that's true. At least he played Boucher and he needed to. You know what? He really needed to. I wish the Toronto Raptors had really played Christian Koloko today because you clearly needed some rim protection with Giannis in there and Brooke Lopez, of course, as well. He's a big body, but frustrating loss, man. Frustrating loss. Don't know really what to say about the Toronto Raptors as the season continues to melt down. Their next game is against the New York Knicks. It goes, what day is it today? Is it Wednesday? I believe the next game goes on Friday. So Knicks versus Raptors 4:30. I don't know if that really makes a difference. Do the Raptors want to start winning games all of a sudden? Should we go tank? I don't know, man. This is frustrating, but let's create some polls here. Seriously played Coloco all season. Then we play a big team and no Coloco or Cam Burge. I agree, Tom. I don't know what's going on, man. I love Nick Nurse, but come on, his rotations sometimes are questionable. Now it's funny because I read somewhere on Twitter that they were stating that Nick Nurse is going to have the same starting lineup, but he's going to switch up the bench a little bit, which he really didn't. So again, it was pretty much the same guys we've always seen. Also, another guy we really would have loved to see. I don't know what happened. What's the mysterious disappearance of Thaddeus Young? Like Thaddeus Young would have. Let's be honest. He's not 7. He's not 7 foot. He's not even 6'10", but he would have helped the Raptors in some way, shape, or form. The Raptors were missing all sorts of shots, and man, I really would have liked to see him. Let's start a poll today. Should the Raptors tank? What do you guys think? Just gonna create a simple poll here. Yes or no? Nurse stealth tanking is pure genius. I really don't know what to say about Nick Nurse, man. It's been frustrating because and again, the blame has to go to a few of the bench guys as well. I would have liked to see Malachi and Precious take a couple of those threes today. They had wide open looks in the first quarter, I believe. Precious Achiuwa got the ball at the 3-point line. Fred actually passed him the ball. He's wide open. He doesn't even look to shoot. He just passes it back to Fred. So and Malachi Flynn as well. I believe he was in that third quarter. He's wide open. He lets the shot clock run out. Unfortunately, he didn't see the time or whatever happened. But frustrating loss for the Toronto Raptors. I don't know where we go from here because look, people are going to blame everyone. They're going to blame Fred VanVleet. They're going to blame Pascal Siakam. Scotty Barnes had a pretty impressive game to say the least. And also, guys, before we do talk about Scotty Barnes, I know people are going to shit on Fred VanVleet. 28 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, also 3 steals. He had a huge, I know, look, 8 for 23. He shot 34% from the field. Hit all his free throws, which is good. He's 8 of 8. Shot 28% from the 3-point line, which is terrible. But um, look, man, Fred VanVleet had some huge plays. He really jump started that comeback late in that fourth quarter by hitting a three and then coming back, hitting another three. And right away, what you saw was you saw that Mike Budenholzer, what he does is calls a timeout right away. But I will say one thing about Mike, man, I don't understand the amount of times he had Giannis going to the bench and then coming back. That's a bad look for an NBA coach. I know we make fun of Nick Nurse and his heavy minutes that he plays as starters, especially how he goes crazy in the last 2 minutes of the game. Even if they're down, like it seems like 20 points, he's still going to get his guys to do everything possible. Full court press, and he still tries to get the Raptors to come back and win the game. But Mike Budenholzer, man, you put Giannis on the bench with like 4 minutes to go, and then you put him in again with like 3 minutes to go, and then you put him back with 2 minutes to go, and then the Raptors come back. He puts him back in the lineup as well. So not a good look for Mike Budenholzer. That's exactly why the Toronto Raptors didn't hire him. But frustrating. Let's read some of the comments here. Please do realistic Fred and Siakam mock trade, says it's Jace. I don't want to trade Pascal, man. I don't want to trade Pascal. Call me crazy. I'm not trading Pascal no matter what. Fred VanVleet, maybe. I still want to wait at least a few more weeks to see where this Toronto Raptors team is going. Not throwing in the towel just yet. Close though. Yeah, Tom, I'm very close to throwing in that towel. It depends on the next. I'd probably say 2 to 3 games. Fred and Siakam are holding everyone back with their ISO game. I don't think so, man. It's not stats don't matter. They play with team. Fred VanVleet and Siakam need to be traded. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. The reason being is if there's one game actually where Fred actually passed the ball today, and guys, I'll be straight honest. I know some of you guys think I'm a big Fred fan. I'm actually not. I just defend Raptors Spurs because I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like Pascal Siakam struggled an entire. I wouldn't even say struggled, but we know what happened in the Tampa season, and people are giving him shit. So had we treated him then, again, that's why I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon and say trade Fred. Give him a few more weeks. Heck, give him another couple weeks, man. He's not as bad as he looks right now. I will say this. He's a better shooter than what we're seeing right now because look at the season he had last year. There's no way a good shooter like Fred VanVleet goes from shooting what he had last season to this season. So again, Fred VanVleet actually moved the ball really well, I thought, especially late in that fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game Normally, what we would see with Fred VanVleet in the past is we would see him try to force shots, try to drive to the basket, try to jump, try to take long threes. But instead, what he did was actually pass Scotty Barnes the ball quite a bit, which was nice to see because look, Scotty Barnes was at that point, he had 0 points in the 4th quarter up until I believe like the 7-minute mark where he comes in and then he finally starts attacking the basket. He gets really aggressive and then Fred starts feeding him the ball and also he was giving Gary Trent Jr. the ball as well. So 40 games still to go. That is true, Tom. To 40 games, man. The Raptors are going to really have to start winning some of these games because currently, as it stands, 16 and 22, like 40 games to go. You win you're gonna have to win at least. It's crazy to think if they win 30 games, they win 46. But again, I don't realistically see that happening. But even if they win 35 games, like you're gonna be winning 41 games at that point, and at that point, you're probably going to be realistically a play-in team, unless all the teams above us. I do want to say all the teams above us actually aren't that far above us. Like Miami Heat is the 8th seed and they have 20 wins. Atlanta Hawks, they have 17 wins. So it's not like it's like they're far ahead of us. That's why I want to preach patience a little bit. I want to see what the Raptors do in terms of like where they'll go in the next 5 to 6 games. If they keep losing, then I think it might be time to tank. Do you think Coach Nurse's coaching style, specifically the aggressive defense, needs to change? I think so. Arashdeep, thank you. I definitely think so. I think he needs to change his defensive schemes a little bit. Although the Raptors played really good defense today, I will say it's a little bit high tempo and it really exhausts the guys when you think about it. We make our final decision. I say after this homestand says Acom. Acom, I have to agree. At some point, you have to decide where your future lies. And I'm not saying trade Pascal Siakam, but in terms of the team direction, you need to pick a direction. You can't just have a few guys that are veterans, and a majority of your roster is guys that you need to develop. And then you have random guys in there like Pascal, or excuse me, OG Anunoby, who's 25 years old. So I think the Raptors need to pick a direction again. I still think the Raptors would very likely wait till at least close to the NBA trade deadline, if we're being honest. And the reason I believe that is because you get better deals when teams are more desperate. They know a lot of nine. Tom says 9 games behind second place, guys. What do you think? Let's go for second place in the Eastern Conference. But no, The thing with the thing with the Raptors is you do need to pick a direction, but I think it's going to be closer to the trade deadline if we decide to trade some of our guys, because then teams are desperate. The teams that are getting ready to make a run in the playoffs, then they really want guys like Gary Trent Jr., maybe Fred VanVleet if we decide to move him, maybe Chris Boucher if we decide we need guard instead of pressure. Excuse me, Chris Boucher. So let's see. Are they actually 9 games behind the deadline? We need a center. Yeah, I know we do. We definitely do. Where do we rank? Well, Tom, we're 10 games behind, and I think with this loss, I don't know where the Boston Celtics stand. I don't know if they won or lost today, but yeah, the Raptors definitely need to start winning games if they hope to accomplish anything, because it's been a frustrating season, man. That was one of those moral victories that I hope that carries into next game. I just wish the Raptors would play this hard throughout the entire game. It's a little bit disappointing when you see them only do this in the last 2, 3, 4 minutes of the game. I wish they did it more often. I wish they played like this with this type of energy the entire game. But again, that's not sustainable. Also, guys, I'm going to link this again. Shout out to Pensari. If you guys want to call in, I don't know if you guys want to do that. You don't have to. You technically don't have to put your face on there. You can just do microphone. But if you guys feel comfortable, definitely call in. I want to hear from other people as well. But a frustrating loss to say the least. Orlando Magic won. Someone was saying so. I guess if you're pro tanking, that's a good thing. Looking around the games, that I don't even know if Boston Celtics are playing tonight. No, but the Pacers lost to the 76ers, which I don't know if how you view that if you're planning on catching up with the 76ers, but Charlotte Hornets lost, which is not a good thing. Cleveland Cavaliers won. So yeah, Knicks won. Spurs lost. Not much else going on. Brooklyn Nets lost. I don't know if that's a good thing. The Raptors are going for the second seed, right? No. But regardless, man, it was a heartbreaking loss. I really thought the Raptors would come back, especially Gary Trent, man. Shout out to him. He's got to get a lot more clutch shots late in the 4th quarter. He's got a knack for clutch G. Um, so again, guys, I apologize if you hear my birds in the back, but we just need some shooting off the bench. Someone like Buddy Hield would be a great pickup We missed all of that from Otto Porter. Man, Otto Porter Jr. has been one of the more disappointing signings ever. Not even like the last couple of seasons ever. Like he's very likely he's not even close to recovering, and he's going to be what? Probably it's January already. By the time he gets playing, February, March, our season's probably going to be coming to an end with the way the Raptors are playing. And what's the point of playing someone like that if the Raptors start losing more games? So very disappointing signing in Otto Porter. Again, it's not really something he can control. It is an injury. He's very injury prone. We knew that. That's why we signed him to the deal we did. That's why we got him for a pretty fairly decent deal. He signed here for next year as well. So he actually has a player option. So it's very likely, obviously, Otto Porter Jr. is not going to opt out and sign somewhere else. It's likely he's going to opt into his contract, stay with the Toronto Raptors, and he's probably going to bounce back next season. That is if the Raptors want to keep him. But let's see what happens, man. Where do you think the Raptors are, guys? Let's take a look at this poll here. All right, so 50% of you guys say yes, 50% of you guys say no to tanking. So very interesting that you guys see that. I'm on the edge right now. I really am because I'm kind of against tanking, but if it does happen, it is what it is. I think the Raptors. Like, if you lose another 5, 10 games, man, now 57% of you guys are saying you don't want the Raptors to tank. Look, there's no guarantees you're gonna land the number 1 pick. That's all I'll say, guys. Like, if the Raptors have the 7th or 8th worst record in the league, which they very might, because they're obviously clearly too talented to be where the Chicago or not the Chicago, but the Detroit Pistons are, like, right at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, then you end up drafting, like, 10th to 12th. You could drop in the draft too. We got very lucky with Scotty Barnes when we drafted him because the Raptors were, I think they were slated to select or draft at the 7th or 8th position. And what happened was they jumped a few spots and they were the 4th place team to obviously draft Scotty Barnes. So it's very likely we can drop down too. There's no guarantees, even if we do tank. Like everyone just keeps talking about Wembanyama, talking about Scoot. But the thing is, if the Raptors drop, they're going to be drafting 10th, 11th. So that's all I'll say, guys. There's no guarantees that you're going to get a really good pick. 10th, 11th, it's a good pick. It's not a great pick. I will say that. Um, so again, I know a lot of people automatically expect that you're going to be drafting in the top 5 or 6. There's no guarantees. I was at the game, just got back home. I left. No, Joshua, you did not leave the game. You know what this game reminded me of? This reminded me of that Miami Heat game versus the San Antonio Spurs, where a lot of fans left. I was at the game, just got back home. I left with 1 minute 50 seconds left. Everyone left. We thought it was over. Joshua, no. I would have loved to be at that game because I'm the type of person that sticks around even after like a big loss. I just want to, I wanna just kind of soak in the experience because I don't go to too many sporting events. They're way too expensive, man. But I would have loved to be there. That would have been such a crazy atmosphere to be in because imagine like a lot of people leaving. Joshua, I could ask you this: when you were leaving, did a lot of the people come back, or if you guys were just leaving, did you guys hear a lot of noise in the arena? Never again, I bet. Yeah. Let's see, man. Let's see. If I ever invent Masai needs to blow up the team, I'm done. Fred, he played well, but he needs to go. Joshua, I don't think the thing is, it all depends on what you're gonna get in return for Fred. The only thing is right now his stock isn't all that high. So if you're wondering what you could get for Fred, that's the only question. Like, will you get something good in return? That's the only thing I will say regarding Fred. I don't think they should trade Fred just yet because I truly believe he's a much better player than he's currently showing. If he can play the way he did, he had 12 assists today. I know a lot of that is contributed to Scotty Barnes, but if you watch the game, if you go back and watch the game and even some of the highlights, you'll see he was feeding some of the guys again. So if he could play a little bit more unselfishly, Fred VanVleet, I'm not going to defend him. He definitely plays selfishly at times. But if he's somehow able to play a little bit more like he did today, where he's not taking a lot of jump shots, he's getting his teammates involved, then I'm all for it. They wouldn't let anyone who was trying to get back in there. There's a ton of people. Oh man, Joshua, I imagine this is literally like Miami Heat game. I was even gonna say Miami Heat versus Spurs. If you guys remember that in the finals, where all the Miami audience, or I don't know why I keep calling it audience, all the Miami crowd left, and then they were trying to get back in because Miami came back and won that game against the Spurs. But also, guys, I'm going to link this below. It's in the description as well. If anyone wants to call in, if anyone is brave enough, you don't have to show your face. You can talk in the microphone. I want to hear your thoughts regarding not only this game. Where do you think this roster stands? Where do you think Masai Ujiri needs to do in terms of trades? I will say this. I know some people are saying trade Pascal, guys. That is not the move. I know he had a rough game, but I think he is one of the players you need to build around, surround him with some shooters as well. So again, it depends on what the Raptors do get. I don't think they'll get the kind of haul they're expecting for Pascal because we need to remember, although the Timberwolves did give up all of that for Rudy Gobert, not every team is dumb like the Timberwolves. Not every team is going to give up that much. This team has no future. You have to pay Trent VanVleet and you have to trade one, keep Pascal Barnes and OG Joshua. I don't want to spoil a future idea for a video I have, but I will say this: if the Raptors technically can re-sign both of those guys. They don't have Gary Trent Jr.'s bird rights. They do have Fred VanVleet. But what you can do when they're making more money is then if you are trading for a superstar player, you don't need to throw in like three different guys. If Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. are making 25 million next year, whatever they're making, obviously Fred shouldn't be making that much right now. He should like he's probably not even gonna opt in with the way he's playing lately, but, if, like, you pay Gary Trent Jr. 25 million, then all of a sudden his salary has increased this much, and you don't need to include that much more in terms of filler salary if you are to acquire an all-star player or even a superstar player in the future. What's the point to contend when we're realistically a second round exit? Akam, I've been watching the Raptors for a while. I'm not trying to sound egoistic. I will say one thing though, in terms of like the Raptors and what the point is of being a second round exit is experience. Obviously, Pascal and Fred have been there. It'd be really good experience for OG Anunoby. It'd be really good experience for Scotty Barnes. We need to remember OG Anunoby. He was not with the Raptors in that championship run. Yes, he might have been on the bench, but he hasn't really experienced that. I know he's played in quite a few playoffs games, but OG Anunoby can always get more experience. And even for some of the other guys like Precious Achiuwa, you need some of the other guys that want experience. So Christian Koloko, how good would that be for him to experience not only the playoffs, even if he's not playing a lot, just to be in that atmosphere? It's a very good experience for the players. And I will say this, guys, it's not always a tank or championship season. I know someone mentioned actually the Golden State Warriors were able to do it. Golden State Warriors also have one of the best players in the NBA. They also have a top 10 player of all time. So I think it's good experience and you slowly build on that because especially considering when the Raptors won the championship, it wasn't just like, yes, Kawhi was a big part of it, but the reason the Raptors also won the championship was because of guys like Norman Powell, was because of guys like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, who had playoff experience. So it's how you build that slowly playoff experience over the years, which ultimately leads to a good performance in the playoffs. And when you do make the finals or even a deep playoff run, that's when the experience kicks in. So weird Koloko didn't play tonight. I really wish Koloko played tonight, man. That would have been it really would have been fun to see him play against Giannis. First of all, I'm not gonna say that Koloko would have stopped Giannis. Giannis is like a train, man. Like he was OG Anunoby is a strong mofo. And he was just toying with him like it's nothing. Like he was going through him and Scotty Barnes at the same time. Giannis is a tough mother effer, man. That's all I'll say. There's no path to winning with this team. Timelines don't match up. I don't want to hear trust Masai. This roster is not properly constructed, says Joshua. Joshua, I completely agree. I don't think this roster is constructed properly. I really wish the Raptors had done a better job of maybe getting a few more shooters. It would have, I mean, like, come on, it's 2022. How do you, 2023, excuse me, how do you not have shooters on this team? It really bugs me. And I've stated this for like a millionth time. Get a center, get a starting center. The Raptors defense would have been so much better. Like today, how many rebounds did Giannis have? Let's take a look here. Giannis today had 20 rebounds, I believe. 21 rebounds. Brooke Lopez, 19 rebounds. For crying out loud, Bobby Portis had 12 rebounds. And on the Raptors, no one had more than 9, who was OG Anunoby. And then after that, it was Pascal Siakam with 8 rebounds and Fred VanVleet with 8 rebounds. So like you get those extra possessions, man. They make a huge they make a big deal. So also guys, if you guys do want to click in, I just want to test this thing if it actually works or not. Let me see. Can one of you guys click it? I just want to see if it actually is working. I saw him kill us all night on the boards. Oh, and that was the most pathetic start to a game I've ever seen, says Joshua. Joshua, that was terrible. Like I was literally laughing, man. I was like I can't wait for NBA Chef to drop that video because the laughter is gonna be absolutely epic. That was one of the most pathetic performances I have ever seen. And honestly, I haven't even laughed this much while watching a comedy movie. The Raptors started this game brutally, and you saw the reaction from the fans there. There was like you could hear ahs and like oohs and like every time the Raptors had a lot of misses to start the game, and like they finally got their basket at 5 minutes into the game where Pascal Siakam hits. He finally Pascal Siakam hits a free throw, and everyone's giving him a standing ovation. That was bad. I was laughing. I couldn't be mad either, Joshua. I was literally laughing my ass off. Like I was laughing and I was looking at reactions. I was like, how are people not finding this funny? This was like shacking the fool, but literally for like 7 minutes in the first quarter. And not only that too, but the Bucks at one point missed like 13 straight shots. So it's like the Raptors offense was bad because they kept shooting and they kept missing. Okay, so Tom says clicking on the link gets me to the sign in page. Let me see here. Let me see if I can let me see if I can maybe link this. Maybe it works a little bit better. Let's see on the broadcast. Oh, okay. Um, all right. Let's see here. Raptors versus. I'm gonna try and see if this link works, guys. Just hang in with me for 1 second. This game. I don't know if it's going to link both, but Joshua says, my opinion is go in and get another young star like Trey Young or Zach Levine or Bradley Beal. I'm done with this team being so bad offensively and having no shot creation helps Siakam. I have to agree there, Joshua. I feel like the Raptors definitely need to add something, but it's been frustrating to say the least. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Of course. Um, all right, guys, I'll try this another day. It doesn't look like this link is working, but the thing is, I really wish the Raptors got Pascal a little bit more help. It almost seems like Masai Ujiri is intentionally not getting the Raptors a lot of help. I really wish he had surrounded this team with a few more shooters. And I said this last offseason, you need to get a few better players. Like we replaced Svi Mihailuk with Bo Cruz, but let's be honest, what are their statistics? I don't even know if Svi Mihailuk is playing for the New York Knicks. Let's take a look here. But Bro Cruz is shooting like, he's supposed to be a good three-point shooter, and I don't even think he's shooting that well, man. It's, and at one point, the embarrassing part about this game today, the Raptors were shooting 7% field goal percentage at one point in the first quarter. But let's take a look at Svi Mykhailiuk. Like, what's he doing with the New York Knicks? I don't think he's doing anything, but like we keep signing these guys that are, three-point shooters, but we know they're not really good three-point shooters, and normally they're not going to be getting an oh, has Sweet Mihailuk not play for the New York Knicks anymore? I don't even see him in the. Oh yeah, he's right there. So yeah, his stats this year: Sweet Mihailuk, 1.8 points, 0.6 rebounds, 0.1 assists. He's shooting 60% from the 3 point. All right, guys, that's probably because he's taking like maybe three threes this year. Let's take a look. Yeah, he shot one of two, one of two, one of two, two of two, and that's it. Bo Cruz, on the other hand, let's take a look. I wish Wancho really tried to shoot a little bit. He needs to. I get that he's a role player, and I don't expect him to take like 5, 10 shots. He took in 5 minutes played. He took 0 shots. I would have liked him to be a little bit more aggressive. But Bo Cruz this season, Wancho Hernan Gomez, 4 points, 3.7 rebounds, 28% from the 3 point line. Are you kidding me? Wancho is supposed to be a good 3 point shooter for the Raptors, and this is what he's doing. He's shooting 28%, man. That's unacceptable. You're supposed to be a good 3 point shooter, but do you think the KD trade that was hyped up in the offseason worth it now? Akam, had we had KD, we still would have had our issues. And I know people keep saying trade Scotty Barnes. I don't think that would have been the right thing to do because not only would you have to include two other starters given Kevin Durant's salary, it just wasn't happening. Like there's no way the Raptors is willing to trade him. If we did have KD, I think we would have been a really good offensive team. Maybe it would have saw some. Maybe it could have kind of killed out how bad our defense is. I don't know how much KD really helps our defense, to be honest. He's not a great defensive player anymore, but he never was. But his defense has definitely dropped off in the last few seasons. Otto Porter's gameplay through his career has been dismal, except earlier on, and then recently with the year with Golden State Warriors. Yeah, Tom, that's the thing. He had like a good playoff run, and a lot of people felt like Otto Porter Jr. is he's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's very injury prone. To me, it feels like Masai doesn't want to go and try and get anyone if he thinks they don't fit the culture. Like I don't care if trade doesn't fit your culture. Go get some help. Masai and Bobby do zero. Joshua, I've emphasized this on a few videos ago where I feel like the Raptors management focuses way too much. Like, man, these are athletes. These are millionaire 21-year-old, 25 years old. Obviously, they're going to have some egos. Obviously, their personality isn't going to be, all nice and crazy, but like you have to I get that it's a culture thing too, Joshua. I completely agree. I wish Masai Ujiri would just stop and just like get Screw the culture, man. What's the point of the culture if you're losing like this? What's the point of the culture if you're going 0-15 to start the game? At some point, man, you just have to get good players and just be like, you know what? Screw it. Their personality may suck, but at least they'll do good on the Toronto Raptors. At least they'll help our scoring. At least they'll be good defensively. Like you have to say enough is enough and just see it, call it what it is. You know what? All right, guys. I'm very interested. I don't want to do this yet. I'm just gonna kind of ask you, what are some of the names that you would want the Raptors to potentially target? I know we're still a ways away from the trade deadline, but I want to hear some names that you think the Raptors should potentially target ahead of the trade deadline. Do you think the Raptors need a center? Do you think like should we just trade, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., or whatever for picks for young players? Who are some of the players you think the Raptors should target? One name I will throw out, I really like Josh Hart. This is a player I really wish the Raptors had tried to get years ago. Not only like the last couple of years, even when we had Kyle Lowry. I really wish the Raptors had tried to get Josh Hart. Shooting guard, he can play small forward position. I believe he's like six. How tall is Josh Hart? I feel like he's 6'7", 6'8", but something tells me he's actually like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, Josh Hart is 6'5", yeah, but his rebounding numbers are insane, man. Like he could have been the Justin Champagnie type of player, but obviously with more experience. He's averaging 8.5 rebounds this year, 9.8 points. He's also shooting 35% from the three-point line. Like he's a career 34%. The previous season, he shot 37% from the three-point line. Josh Hart would have been perfect. He's also a really good defensive player as well. Acom says Jakob Pertl. Jakob Pertl is nice, man. I don't know if we want to give up first round picks for him, but he is nice. I'm going to call OKC and offer Fred and Gary or OG and two first. Who are you offering that for? Are you offering it for SGA? Joshua, because I don't think he's tradable until the offseason. Correct me if I'm wrong, because he signed that extension during the offseason. But either way, I don't think the Oklahoma City Thunder take it. Shea, yeah. The thing is, Joshua, Shea's in a league of his own. He's like, I don't think he's MVP contention, but he's averaging some crazy numbers here. Let's take a look at what she is averaging. He's got to be still averaging at least 31 points. I think Fred and OG should go at the deadline, says Tubi. That's a hot take, man. I don't know about OG. I don't know about OG. That's all I'll say. Um, let's see. Oklahoma City Thunder. Did he play today? Shea Gilgis Alexander, 33 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 19 from the field. Um, yeah, he's putting up 30 points, 4.9 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 49.9% from the field, 35.4 from the three-point line, 91.3 from the free throw line. Excuse me, 35 from the three-point line and then 91 from the free throw line. He's not gettable, man. I would love Shea, guys. It's a pipe dream at this point because we could give up 3 first-round picks. I don't think Oklahoma City are taking that. At this point, we are desperate for a center. We should send that first, says Acom. That is true. That is true. But the only thing with Jakob Pertl, guys, is we trade for him. Our free throw percentage, his free throw percentage sucks. So you can't really play him late game situations. Also, with Jakob Pertl, he can't space the floor. He's pretty much just going to be in the paint. It's not really going to allow Pascal Siakam or Scotty Barnes to really play in their comfort zone. So that's the only thing with Jakob Pertl. I do like him a lot, though. Don't get me wrong. I would love him on this team. I don't know if it's for a first, though. Or there were rumors of Trey Young wanting out. Call Atlanta and offer them OG and Fred or Fred and Gary two first and Boucher for Trey Young. We may have to give up a lot considering the Atlanta Hawks gave up. What did they give up for DeJounte Murray? They gave up like 4 first round picks, I believe. So imagine what Trey Young is going to cost. I would love him. You think Nick Nurse yelled at Dalton, Harper, and Banton too, even if they allowed to play? So Sean, I think you know what I think is. I'm going to be honest. I love Fred VanVleet. I love Gary Trent Jr. Well, I don't love Fred VanVleet. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct myself. I'm defending him because I really feel like we should give players the benefit of the doubt. I don't love Fred VanVleet. I do think he has a ego issue. The thing with Fred VanVleet is he's talked about this because when there were talks about role definition with the Toronto Raptors players, I don't think Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, or Scotty Barnes really liked the role they were in. Now I'm saying this because Fred VanVleet actually was in one of the interviews where he stated that I'm going from an all-star and adjusting to playing off the ball is a little bit challenging, especially considering the last season he had. We know Fred has an ego, guys. So it sucks to see Fred VanVleet with that ego. If he dropped it a little bit, if he humbled a little bit, I mean, and maybe in some ways this is a humbling lesson for Fred VanVleet. And Gary Trent Jr., the thing with Gary Trent Jr. too, I think he was told not to force up the shots as much as he did last year. That's why up until recently, what you saw with or excuse me, Gary Trent Jr. was that he wasn't just chucking every shot he got. He was passing a little bit more. He was a little bit more hesitant to shoot the shot. And then, of course, Scotty Barnes said he wants to be the point guard. So again, it seems like they're having a little bit of confusion in terms of player egos getting in the way of their role definition. But it is what it is, man. The Raptors need to fix a few things. That's all I'll say. I do think Nick Nurse probably I can see Nick Nurse yelling at I don't think he yelled at Scotty or Fred. Let's be honest. He doesn't have the guts to yell at someone like that. Like Scotty's the future of the Toronto Raptors. I think Nick Nurse probably yelled at someone like Chris Boucher. I can see that. Chris Boucher, I've seen his interviews on Yahoo Sports. He's talked about it. He said, "Man, if you don't play hard, you're not getting minutes." And I could see Chris Boucher getting yelled at. Like I could just imagine the locker room of Nick Nurse yelling at Chris Boucher. It'd be funny because Nick Nurse is what, like 6 feet. Chris Boucher is like 6'9". Imagine yelling at someone that tall. And I don't think Chris Boucher probably took it well. Maybe Gary Trent Jr. Maybe Malachi Flynn he yelled at. I don't know. It's it's funny to think that Nick Nurse yelling at, these grown ass men that are so humongous. Is Scotty gonna become a star? I still think so, but but he's struggling a lot this season, says Joshua. I think the thing with Scotty Barnes is he can decide when he wants to be aggressive. He did actually do a lot of good things before he went on that big fourth quarter run and also overtime as well. But I think the thing with Scotty Barnes is he was doing a lot of things. If you go back and watch the game in the third quarter and even early in the fourth quarter, I don't know if he played early fourth. I believe this was the third quarter. He was running around setting picks for every single player on the Raptors offense. He was going around setting picks for Fred VanVleet, for Gary Trent Jr. He's doing a good job of just moving off the ball as well. So I wouldn't say it's so much struggling. I think Scotty is going to be a good player. The only issue is I don't ever see him being a really strong three-point shooter. So you asked about this new setup, and for whatever reason, this focus seems off now. It was better for sure, I thought. The focus of the camera, are you saying, Tom? Or just the focus of like the lighting and everything? Yeah, Sean, I know what you mean. I was watching Raptors Digest video earlier, and I heard about that on Reddit too somewhere. But I know Ben was breaking that down about Nick Nurse getting into it with his players. In your earlier video today, you ask, yeah, nice. Thanks for another stream, March. Nameless, I appreciate it. I'm just thinking how you blame someone like those when he himself is the one not letting them play. Sean, it's true, but let's be honest, man. Like we got to be completely honest with Nick Nurse's rotations too. Some of these guys on the bench, they don't really deserve it, man. Wancho has been playing like shit. He got a few minutes. Obviously, he needed floor spacing. He didn't take one shot when he was on there. What do you think we should do with Trent or Fred as they both want extension and I'd rather pay Gary? Joshua, I'd rather pay Gary too. The only thing is, it's tough, man, because I know a lot of people don't feel like this, but Pascal and more so Fred are the culture guys. They're the leaders in the locker room. I know his play has been off, and I know people will say what they will, but Fred VanVleet is kind of the leader. And you treat him, you're kind of treating a lot of that. You're losing some of the culture too. So it's kind of like that mentality that Kyle Lowry brought to the team, whereas next man up mentality. Now I know again, Fred has a little bit of ego. Yes, I'll admit that, but I think he brings a lot of the old Raptors culture, which was incorporated by DeMar and Kyle Lowry. You treat him, you kind of lose that, which is again why I think that it would be a mistake to trade Fred. I also think he's so much better than what he's shown us this entire season. I think Scotty takes a step back at the start of the games to get the other guys going first, which then affects his game. He needs to be aggressive from the tips. As Sonny, I agree. Sonny, I think I agree. Scotty Barnes, OG, and Anobi are unfortunately the guys that really take a step back. Today, OG and Anobi really struggled. I counted at least 3 3-pointers where he was wide open. He took the shots and he missed. Obviously, again, Fred VanVleet has struggled as well, but his shooting was bad, but his passing was good. He finally got some of his teammates involved, which was nice to see. But the entire squad, besides Scotty Barnes, I think, just struggles so poorly, just shooting wise. So, see, I don't want Pascal and Fred as leaders of this team. I don't think Masai does either, anyways. Joshua, let's see. Let's see. You know what, Masai? I know people, including myself, are blaming Masai for a lot of the roster constructions. Leave it up to Masai, man. This is the same guy that traded DeMar when a lot of people were questioning him. Like every single fan. Let me tell you guys a quick story. I work in a hospital, so I'm a lab assistant. And when I was working that, I was actually doing patient's blood work, and this patient had their TV on, and I don't remember the exact time, but it must have been around 6 o'clock in the morning as I was doing the blood collection around that time, 6:30, and the news was on, and they said DeMar has been traded for Kawhi Leonard, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was jumping with joy because I was happy we didn't give up OG Anunoby. I was happy we didn't give up Pascal Siakam. I was like, I was trying to figure out who else was involved. I was just like, just don't let it be OG or Pascal because even though they weren't the players they were obviously now, they had a lot of potential. Anyone could see that. So I was happy, man. Masai will make the right move. Have faith in him. He does try to feel out the game too much instead of being more assertive, perhaps. Yeah, that's true. That's the thing with Scotty Barnes. I think he lets the game come to him a little bit too much. He needs to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more aggressive. Let Fred play worse and re-sign him for a lower price. He can't blame anyone else for a lower offer since he knows he's struggling. The way he's playing, Sean, I think he may just honestly just opt in. Scotty looks ultra impressive the way he kept shooting over Lopez. Yeah, I love his hook shots, which is nameless. Exactly why a lot of people want to play Scotty Barnes at that center position and want him to attack more. He's not to say he can expand his game, but I think with Scotty Barnes, what he really needs to do is stick to some of his strengths, especially if you're a struggling young player. What you don't want to do is try to get a little bit too fancy with trying to create, trying to do different things. So Scotty Barnes would really benefit from something like, working on his strengths, which is working in the paint. Yeah, nameless. I thought so too. I know people are going to shit on Fred VanVleet for the last shot. Look, ultimately, I would have loved to see Gary Trent take that last shot, but it is what it is, man. They gave it their all. Fred VanVleet also jump started that comeback. He had two threes, and he got that huge steal from Giannis Antetokounmpo. He hit his free throws, so and he also had 12 assists. So it sucks. Look, Fred VanVleet, I thought he could have given the ball to Gary Trent Jr. I haven't gone back to see that last play. I do want to see that, but again, it is what it is. The Raptors had a really nice game, and not a nice game, but a nice comeback. But moves need to be made as there is no path to winning with this current roster. That's true, Joshua. There's just I don't know what it is with the roster too, because we played so well last year, but I truly have been saying this for quite some time. Get the damn defensive center this team needs, and a good rim protector. If you could get all three in one center, that'd be amazing. Having found a new perspective on our situation, a lot of positive to take away from today's game, says Tom. I have to agree, Tom. It was a lot of good things we could take away, and also honestly, look, we shot poorly. Yes, we started the game terribly, but the way we ended the game, if we could take that momentum into the next game, that would be massive for the Toronto Raptors. Scotty has to put himself first offensively, 0 points until the fourth quarter. Then he goes like off like a firework when he decides to let loose and play to his strengths. That is true. Sean, that is true. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a young player thing. I'm not trying to judge Scotty. Just at times it seems like he's not really into the game. Like you look at him during the second and third quarter, it almost seems like he's not even breaking a sweat. Like you look at him, he kind of just he's just standing there with his mouth open. He doesn't look like he's really focused. Again, no hate to Scotty. I love him. But it just seems like maybe it's a focus thing, maybe it's just mentality thing. I don't think Scotty is, has a bad mentality by any means, but I think with Scotty, it's more of just being focused and more assertive. Another reason why our shooting is terrible is the cause of the minutes. They don't got the legs under them. The starters are playing about 45 minutes a game. Nick wants them to rebound and run with no bench. Says Sonny, I agree, man. Let's like how many minutes did the Raptors play today? I'm pretty sure. Holy, no wonder OG Anunoby was literally looking like he's having an asthma attack. And I'm not making fun of anyone that has an asthma attack. My mom had it, but not a cool thing to see. But OG Anunoby is literally huffing and puffing out there. 46 minutes and 26 seconds for OG Anunoby. Pascal Siakam 40 minutes and 19 seconds. Gary Trent Jr. 45 minutes and 23 seconds. Fred VanVleet 46 minutes 50 seconds. Chris Boucher 22 minutes. Everyone else on our bench: Precious, Malachi 11 minutes, and Wancho. So did we go with an 8-man lineup? One, two, three, four, five. Yes. Well, if you consider Wancho is 5 minutes, then technically we did. But yeah, that's true. We need to play the bench a little bit more. But honestly, like, who are you going to play off the bench? Who do the Raptors have off the bench? Kem Birch, Jeff Doughton. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I was going to say we don't have anyone off the bench. These are the four players that did not play today. And call me crazy, all four of these guys should have been playing. Kem Birch, Jeff Doughton, Christian Koloko, Thaddeus Young. Where the hell has Thaddeus Young been? I have not seen Thaddeus Young play for like about at least 3, 4 games now. I think he needs to be playing. You need good guys to guard Giannis. You need other guys to guard Bobby Portis. Why wasn't Thaddeus Young out there? Unless getting very fatigued. Why was he not playing? Why was Cam Birch and Christian Koloko not playing? Jeff Doughton should also be getting a few more minutes, but I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say about Nick Nurse. OG had a great game too, especially on the defensive end. Near impossible to stop Giannis. I agree, man. Nameless. Giannis is just a effing tank, man. Like, holy, he was going to OG and Scotty, and those are two of the toughest Raptors players, but just two of the toughest players in the league. I wish we had someone like I don't know how you guys feel about this. I wish we had someone like a Steven Adams off the bench, maybe off the bench. Like that dude's just physically strong. I don't think Giannis would be able to go through him. You could just place him in honestly in the paint, and I don't think anyone would want to attack the basket. It's a pecking order mindset, main guys first, and then he gets fed. Scotty needs to jump the line and set pecking order. Sean, I do think so. I don't think it's necessarily a pecking order because the Raptors, besides Pascal Siakam, like when you look at the pecking order, it's so random. Sometimes it's Fred, sometimes it's Gary Trent Jr., sometimes it's Scotty Barnes, sometimes not often, but sometimes it's OG Anunoby. But I think Scotty does need to be a little bit more aggressive. It could definitely be that. Need to play Jeff Doughton more too, so he can spare some minutes for Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. I agree, Sonny. I agree. Jeff Doughton is a mystery why he's not getting minutes. But like I've always stated, guys, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Maybe he's showing up late to practices. Maybe he's the first one out the door when practice ends. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I say this because I was watching an interview on JJ Redick's podcast, and he was interviewing PJ Tucker. And one of the things he stated on his interview, and PJ Tucker talked about why he got cut from the Toronto Raptors. PJ Tucker was drafted by the Raptors, FYI, for those who don't know. I believe it was 2007. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2006, 7 ish, around there. PJ Tucker got drafted by the Toronto Raptors. And he said, the reason I got cut was my attitude was shit. He said, I was skilled, but when you come from college, you think you can do everything. And he's like, I walked into the Raptors, I'd be late for practice. I would just, he's like, I wasn't going to play anyway. So I just had a shit attitude. And he's like, at the end of the season, they called me in, all the general managers, all the executives, everyone was there. And then he said, they showed me some film of me playing in G League. And he's like, man, my attitude was terrible and I needed that. So I don't know if it's an attitude thing. Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Maybe he's a very skilled player, but maybe it's just something he just isn't listening to the way Nick Nurse wants his guys to play again. Seriously, all of them should have played. Nurse lied about switching things up. Yeah, Tom, I agree. He said he's going to switch the bench up, but he didn't switch anything up. I've been begging to trade for Steven Adams, says Sean, man. I know he can't stretch the floor. I know he can't shoot, and he's not a good free throw shooter, but man, can he rebound and is he physical? When I saw him tonight, he doesn't look human. He kills whoever was in his way, says Joshua, man. Giannis is something special. I will say this. Like he makes everyone look like he's playing against like college kids. I don't know what more Doughton can possibly do for more looks. Seriously, who does he have to sleep with? Don't get it. I don't know either. A nameless. I don't understand it either. If Kawhi stayed, you think we go back to back? Acom out? I think we go back to back to back. I think we three-peat. There's no doubt in my mind when we played in the bubble, like we're easily beating that. Not easily, we're beating the Boston Celtics team with Kawhi Leonard. One of the biggest issues in that series was the Raptors scoring. So we have him, we're scoring. We have obviously versus the Miami Heat, we're beating them. And the Lakers, we just matched up so well. There's no doubt we're going back to back at the very least. Seriously, I was so pumped when he said that prior to today's game. Yeah, me too, Tom. I was expecting different things. I was expecting maybe some other guys that normally don't play to play, but Steven Adams makes like 20 sheets a year. 20 sheets? Do you mean like 20 mil? Or excuse me, 40 sheets, not 40 mil. How much does Steven Adams make? Let's look it up. Steven Adams doesn't make that much, guys. Contract. I'm pretty sure Steven Adams is on a fairly decent contract. All right, let's take a look here. Steven Adams, wait, what the heck? Why is his contract all over the place? So he's making 17. Oh, that is a lot of money. He's got one more season where he's making $17.9 million, but this season he's making $17 million. So I agree. If Kawhi stayed, we would have three-peated. I think so too, Sonny. Um, Patrick McCaw was the key to all of this. It was funny because that's on Bleachers Report, and someone was saying it's the Rico Hines curse. They said he left the Sacramento Kings, and look what happens, and you guys are cursed now. I don't know about that. Maybe he re-signed cheaper. Maybe. I don't think he's nameless. I don't think he's ever making that much money. Only problems is Steven Adam can't be traded until next year. Really? When did he sign that contract? Okay, I know he was higher at one point. Maybe. I don't think Steven Adams ever made $40 million. I don't think even made $30 million. I know it was pretty high. Like it was like maybe 20, 22, 25 mil, but I don't know. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it in a few minutes. So if you guys got a few more questions so far, 65% of you said that the Raptors should tank. 35% said no. So again, heartbreaking loss. I hope the Raptors carry this momentum into the next game, but we'll see what happens. Let's see. Really? Okay, then I'm tripping. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Maybe it's someone else you're mixing it with because I don't think he's ever made close to $40 million. Steven Adams. All right, guys. Looks like that will be it for today's stream. So I don't want to drag you guys too late. I'm on the Pacific Coast here in British Columbia, so it's 9 p.m. I'm gonna let you guys go. Again, heartbreaking loss for the Toronto Raptors. If you guys are here, if you guys just want to subscribe, that'd be cool. I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, I don't do streams too often. Maybe I might do it. My setup is a little bit more different now, but this looks a little bit better. This is a little bit easier to set up, but that will be it, guys. So I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you for everyone that was in here. I really appreciate you guys. Have a good night, everyone.